it's Ellen. I hope you're having a really good day. I just came back from town. I mean, it is crazy in town today. I went to get my dog at the groomers, and there is 70, I think 70 dogs from other countries that they brought up to one of the big pet stores here. And just lineups of people adopting these little pets, little dogs, and they're so cute. I got my little doggy, and it took me about 20 minutes to get through the lineup because everybody was buying stuff for their dogs, and it was crazy. And then the traffic home was nuts too. So I just got home like 10 minutes ago. Anyway, today we're going to start on a new project. It's a 9-drawer dresser. It's solid wood, really well built. It has some really interesting hardware to it up on the door pulls. There's a few things missing as far as door pulls and knobs, so I have to go to, I think I'm going to go to Lee Valley. If you've never been into Lee Valley, go into one of their stores and look at the door pulls and knobs displays they have. Like, I thought I died and gone to heaven when I went in there. It was just amazing. So to introduce myself again, my name is Ellen. I am an interior decorator as well as a furniture painter, and I upcycle furniture that would maybe otherwise be tossed or not used well because it's in really bad shape or something like that. So I love doing furniture painting and restoring. I just love it. So that's what I do. Today we're going to start, I'll show you a few things in the process of where we are with this dresser. I kind of did a little bit of prep ahead of time just to show you, you know, what had happened so that you didn't have to sit and listen to me for another several hours while I did this. So I'm going to turn the camera down and I will just explain to you what I've done so far with this piece. And this is the piece here. It's a really pretty 9-drawer. So I'll just scoot back and show you a little bit. It's a really pretty 9-drawer dresser. It's got really interesting woodwork detail on the drawers, and it's got, like I said, it's all wood. It's got knobs that go here, and then it's got drawer pulls that go here, and I'll show you those in the next video we do on this series. Because I won't have time to do it all today. I did, instead of stripping the top of this one, I did sand it off because I wanted to leave a little bit of a wood look to it, like a varied wood look to it instead of just one color. And then I took and I did a technique of making it into like a faux barnwood. It's a really cool technique, and I'll show you that in another video at another time. So if you can see over here, this is the hardware that's going on it. I have to paint this. I'll just take it off here and show you. So this hardware is really, look at it, it's just awful. It's really dirty, it feels weathered, it feels like it's, you know, a little bit rusty, although I don't think it is. I think these are probably brass, I'm not sure. Really neat. These ends come off and go together like so. So it's a really neat piece. See, you can see it there. But we're gonna fancy these up and clean them up, and I'll show you that in the next video as well. Okay, so we've got the detailed woodwork. What I did was I sanded each drawer. I did, I used a little mouse sander to sand these drawers, the bottom drawers that have all of the plain front. These ones here I couldn't sand without it taking me a month of Sundays. So what I did with that was I went and got some gray Rust-Oleum 2x primer in gray, and you can see it here. Well, I'm backwards on my camera, so where are we? Here. There. That's the primer there. So what I did was I sprayed all of these top drawers, just the top drawers, with this scroll work. I primed the inset gray so that I could paint over it with this color we're using today, which is and I know it's going to be backwards on the print, but it's a Fusion Mineral paint because I love their paint, and that's just about all I ever use now. And it's called Linen. It's a beautiful, almost a sagey gray. I love this color. So that's what we're doing. And then we're going to do a little bit of dark wax in here when we get it done, and also on the very edges around in here, to just bring out a little bit of the detail. I will probably be adding some either copper glaze wax to this piece, to this part, to the scroll work, after I do the black wax, or gold. I'm not really sure yet. So the sides I haven't done anything with. So this is one of the sides, and I've only just sanded it. I sanded the bottom. I don't know if you can see the bottom very well. This part here, I've sanded all of that by hand. The sides I used my rotary sander on. The top I used my rotary sander on. And then on these drawer fronts, I used my mouse sander. And then the drawer fronts here, I used the mouse sander. And then the rest of these drawers I used, I sanded it by hand. And it's not hard to do. It's a little bit time consuming, but it's not all that hard to do. So this drawer here, I have partly primed and partly painted. So it has one coat on it. So what I'm going to do today is all of these drawers have one coat on them. I'm going to do a second coat on some. This one I'm going to finish up, and I'm just going to show you what I do. This part here, the very front, I did sand, just scuff sand, but I'm going to add just some dark stain there, and just fix up the front. So the only part that will be stained is the top and this bit. And if you can see in here, there's a lip that goes downward in it. I've put just a bit of clear coat on that, so I don't want that color to change. So I just want from here to here to stay wood looking. The rest is going to be all painted out. So I'm using, people always wonder how you get into these drawers so nicely, but this is my trick, and I don't think it's a trick. I mean, I certainly didn't think of it. But you buy a paintbrush like this. You can see that. It's got a really pointed tip. There's actually even one smaller than this, so it's completely pointed on the tip. I'm also using a 1.5 inch round brush. And I used these last night, and I put them back in my, this is supposed to be round, not oval. I put them back in my little baggie. And I love this brush for getting into flat drawer fronts. So when I'm done at night, if I know I'm going to be painting the next day, I get a little baggie, put my brushes in it. Usually I squirt a little bit of water in there because this is water-based, just to keep them nice. And then I just wrap them tight and put my duct tape around, and that keeps them really nice for overnight. But I do usually spritz a little bit of water just to keep it, keep the brushes a little bit moist. So they're pretty dry. You don't want your brushes to dry out. But what I'm going to do is take my mister bottle and just spritz them. Give them a little bit of water, kind of freshen them up, sort of like splashing water on your face in the day. So those will be ready to paint with now. So as we go along, I'll show you a few more little things we're doing, but I'm going to start with this drawer. Now, normally I would take these out and look down at them while I'm painting, but because I'm painting with you guys, I won't be doing that. I do have somewhere, I use these little containers. If I don't want to put my brush into a nice fresh bottle of paint, I use these little containers, and I just put enough in for, you know, the job at hand. If I have any extra, I can put the lid on. So these are, you can pick these up anywhere, really, any restaurant type thing. They're really handy. So for here, I'm going to use this little brush. We're going to finish painting out this drawer. And I'm just going to move my paint tray over so that I can put my stuff in it. All right. The other advantage to using a little pot of paint as well is that you do not run the risk of spilling it and making a big huge mess, because I know a lot of people that have had that happen. They are painting straight out of the jar, and all of a sudden the whole jar tips over and they've got it all over their floor and all over there. Now, these are kind of hard to open, so what I do is smack them a couple of times on the floor. And that didn't work. Oh, yes, it did. And this has already been stirred. So I'm going to put a little bit in here. There. And that'll do me for what I need to do today here. Okay. And I am, like I said, wearing an apron because I'm always getting paint on my hands, and then I just wipe it on my apron. It's much faster than trying to get a cloth. But I am going to get some gloves on because I always get messy. And when I was in town today, I was looking at my fingernails in the lineup, and I have black stains stuck in them from last night. So I thought I got it all out, but I guess I didn't. So, okay. So, hopefully you can see this well. So we'll just dip our brush in. You just want a little bit of paint at a time. If you are getting blobs, runs, anything like that, you've got too much paint. So we're just gonna go, these little brushes get right in the little nooks and crannies that all the places that you want it to go. And when you're applying paint, you don't have to be like applying it perfectly like this, going super slow. You don't have to do that. You need to get it on. And then what you do is you level it out and get it exactly where you want it to stay. So paint has what's called an open time, and that's the time it takes between applying it and the time it takes for the paint to dry. So you have a few minutes of open time with this paint. So now what I've done is I've got it kind of where I want it. And I'm not too fussy with this because I do have some black wax I'm going to be putting over this after. But I just want to basically get it in where I need it to be. Then I'm going to go back and smooth it out. You see that? So you don't have to be super fussy putting it on. I just kind of dab it in on these bits. But then I would go in and smooth it out nicely. And this paint covers so well, this Fusion Mineral paint. I just absolutely love it. I do get my paint in the Okanagan Valley from a lady at Pink Bee. Her name is Barb. She's awesome. And she will help you if you decide to take up furniture painting, or if you just even have like one piece that you want to do, or, you know, maybe it's a mirror you want to fix up, maybe it's some kids' room, a dresser for the kids' room kind of thing. I'm going to move this over. See, now this is running, that's way too much paint, so I will spread it out as much as I need to here. And with these little tiny pointed brushes, you can get in really nicely into these little grooves. Works super well. See this drip here? Just catch it and smooth it out. And once you've got your paint on, you want to go in one direction to smooth it out again. So I can get it in there like so, and then I would go smooth it out. Smooth it out in one direction. Pretty much. I mean, when you're doing this scroll work, you're dealing with about 50 directions at once because of the way it is. But I'll show you more when I do these parts, what I mean by smoothing it out in one direction. And then once you get your paint in there too, see now here, the open time is closed. If If I do that, it's starting to get sticky. So I don't want to pull on it now that it's sticky. But over here, it's like water. I mean, it has the consistency of thick water. So I have open time to smear it around, get it in all the little cracks and grooves that I need to get it into, and then smooth it out before it starts to get sticky. Once your paint starts to get sticky, you need to stop playing with it. Just let it go. Okay, so I'm going to just gently cover that. This is done, that's done. Now you can see where maybe, I don't know if you can see it very well, but down here there's some streaks that so I'm just gonna smooth those out and feather them out. Now I've got this done. I'm going to take this, I think it's like a 1.5, it might be even called a 2-inch round. I'd have to see the package that I bought it in actually. I'm going to take that and just dip the very tip of it in my paint and smooth it off. So I barely have anything on my brush. Do you see that? Like there's just really hardly anything. And then I'm going to take this and go along the top. These brushes are great for doing drawers, I have to tell you. I absolutely love them. They're just really flat. They're not not an angled brush. They're not a, you can even go in here if you want, but they're not an angle brush. They're just perfectly flat on the ends, but I love them for doing drawers. And that is smoothed out. Everything's smoothed out, and that drawer is ready to dry. So you can leave drawers just sitting like they are to dry, or you can take them out to dry. It doesn't matter. I prefer to take them out to do some of the work with them, but not always. Okay, so let's do this one. And I am going to take this one. I'm going to take this one out to work on. So we'll put it here. And I'm going to see if I can get the camera down a little bit more. Right there, maybe? It's hard to tell with this thing, but okay. So here we have these corners, right? There's all these angled corners. I have to remember which way this thing picks up. So what I'm going to do is use my tip brush, and I'm going to put a little bit in the corners, a little bit along these sides, and on the other end, a little bit in the corners. Let's see if we can get a better view of this. I'm not quite sure where it picks up. Is that a little bit better? I ordered a new light kit, so once I get that, I will be able to film these in different spots, because right now I'm so dependent on the garage lights, which are not the best. Okay, so I've just got paint in the corners. I'm running it along this little tiny edge, this inside edge. And now you can even go up in here in these corners if you want. I don't necessarily, but if you're just beginning to paint, that might be a good idea. Just get used to, but it's very thinned out. Do you see how thinned out that is? Like it's barely anything really. I'm not worried about brush strokes, getting that in there, because I'm going to smooth everything out now. Okay, so again, I'm putting very little paint on my brush, and then we're going to just smooth it out. A little bit of more paint. You're going to use a little bit more in this area because it's a larger surface, of course, and it's flat. But this paint, like I said, covers so well. It's just a super rich pigment. A little bit more. And this is the second coat, and because I'm doing a medium paint color over a medium colored wood, it will only need the 2 coats. If I was doing this over a white, something that was white, I would probably need 3 coats. But anything medium to dark over ordinary wood color is about perfect. So look how easy that was. You see that? And everything's smoothed out. It's starting to get sticky, so I don't want to push it anymore there. Then I'm going to flip it on its end and use what I have on my brush to do this end and flip it around and do the other end. Now, I should have put it back in the drawer before I did this, but live and learn. Let's do that right now, because it's much easier to finish it when it's back in. Sometimes it's hard to get this. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. We'll just finish this up here. Yeah, I do like to take the drawer out to do the top, like the flat part here, and then I put it back in and I finish up the sides and then at this point I'm looking for any blobs or runs, and I don't have any, so that's good. Touch that up a bit. Okay, so we will go on to this one. I'm going to leave this, oh actually no I'm not, because I will never get the corners right if I leave it in. So again, I just take this little pixie brush, or this little pointed brush, and I do the inside lip here and the corners just very quickly. Run it along, the inside corner, the inside corner. I'm not worried about brush strokes there because I'm going to be smoothing it out with the other brush. I'm going to do some in this corner and some in those corners. And that's just getting it on. So now I'm going to take this brush again and go over everything. If you haven't skipped over to our new YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate it if you did, because, or if you're on YouTube and you're watching this a year later, please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to build up our viewership, and I know right now we're just starting out and it's kind of like talking to myself, but that's okay because I just love to paint anyway, so I'm okay talking to myself for right now. But it would be nice if you would do that and subscribe to our channel and follow us on our Facebook page. That would be awesome. Okay, I am going to do this end quickly. And then I'm going to put this in. And hopefully I can get it in easier than the last one, but sometimes they're super easy and sometimes they're just really not. It's just a matter of finding that little runner that they go on. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of paint on my brush, not much. If you got any over the back side, just run your finger along. See, I got a little tiny bit off. There's really not much. And if you did not remember to do that and you did get a little bit of a run on the back side, just take some sandpaper and sand it off. Or if you catch it within, 10 minutes or something, take a wet one or a wet wipe and you can wipe it off that way too. Pretty easy. Okay, So I would leave these separated a little bit to dry like that. So they're all kind of, they've got air circulating around them and they can dry out nicely. Now, I'm going to show you how to paint the sides. I have to get a couple of things here. So this side has been sanded. It has not been wiped yet. So I would wipe it, and you don't want to wipe it with a wet cloth at this point, because what the sanding did was it raised the tooth. And what they call raising the tooth is just roughing up the surface, so it has like little microscopic teeth in order for the paint to stick to. So if you use a wet cloth and you wipe it at this point, you're just pushing the tooth back in, and you don't want to do that. I am going to run a little bead of tape under here because I don't want paint getting onto my stain, my top. So just run it along like that and break it off. Pretty easy. So I need a roller. I need a roller rack, one of these little, I'm using a 4-inch microfiber roller, if I can find one in all my junk. Okay. So I've got the rack, I've got the roller. This is a 4-inch microfiber. I've also used the high density foam 4-inch rollers with this paint. It works really good. So I'm just going to spray this a tiny little bit, just so the paint stays on it nicely. And I'm going to smoosh that in a little bit. So it's ready to go. And then I'm going to put some paint in my paint tray, which I will do up here. It doesn't need very much to do that bit on the end, so I don't want to use a ton of paint. In fact, very little paint will do that. Now, because this takes 2 coats, I can put this paint on the end, paint a few more drawers, then go back in about 20 minutes to half an hour and finish painting the other end here once again and give it a second coat. So I'm just gonna move this up a little bit and trade places. Okay, let's get this going here. So what I've got is my paint tray, my paint, the linen color, my round brush, my pixie brush, which I probably don't need for this, but I might, and my roller. So I suppose I could use my pixie brush up here a little bit, but just a little bit of paint just to get up into this top lip here. And I'm going to also do a little bit down here at the bottom. And it's a little bit weird for me to paint on an angle. Normally I would be right down there. But, okay. So, that's just putting the edge around the trim. Now I'm going to do is get my roller wet with paint. You want to load it with quite a bit of paint the first couple of times. And then after that, it should have plenty of paint on it. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's see how much paint's on here. So you just want to, and again, it's just like brushing it. You want to just initially get it on. Doesn't matter which way you go at first. It does matter on the second coat, so I have to load it with quite a bit more paint. The second coat will need a lot of finesse to get it looking right, to get it looking nice and proper. But for the first coat, it's not going to cover thoroughly because it's going to show a little bit of the wood through. And I usually go up and down once I've got the first batch of paint on. And just smooth out what you've got there. With a little bit more paint. So your first coat, you should be able to probably see a little bit of the paint streaking or the wood streaking through. And that's fine. The second coat will cover it over completely. So it was pretty fast. Now I'm going to do the bottom part here. And I need my little container of paint. So I'm going to put this up. Get my little container. Where do I put it? This part on the bottom you could roll, but I like to just brush it out with a paintbrush. It's pretty fast. So again, I'm using my round one. It's really advisable to get good brushes. These ones I actually got, I'm in Canada. I got these ones at Canadian Tire. I know that Fusion Mineral Paint sells their own types. They sell the Stalemeister brushes, they're called. And they're also really nice. And I like the Rust-Oleum brushes as well. So I also like the Purdy brushes, but they're really expensive and I go through quite a few brushes. So when I have to replace a brush, it's nice not to have to pay $30 for one. Okay, that is that. That was the first coat. So that's pretty simple, isn't it, really? Now, by the time I do this end and the other end and a couple more drawers, I should be able to come back and do this again, a second coat, and then it's completely done. This piece has a bit of loose board in the back that I have to also fix up. Okay, let's try this again. So we're going to start with this one. I'm going to take it out. And I'll just do a couple more and then I'll show you what we're going to do to this front here. So again, I'm doing, well, let's see here. I'm doing these corners with a swoosh of paint, the inside lip. You don't need a lot of paint to get right in those corners. And I'm not worried about brush strokes, like I said. Until I get the proper coat on, I don't worry about the brush strokes at this point. And I'm going to get some paint on my big brush. And this is a second coat, so this coat should cover right in. It looks like it is. Pretty good. It really does go really well once you get going. One of these days I'm going to do a video on what you would need to start doing painting of furniture, because there's a lot of people really doing this. It's therapeutic, it's fun, it's nice to see something kind of transform before your very eyes. Whoop. And can you see that? And I don't know if it's the sound of the brush or just the look of everything, but I really love it. I find it very soothing. Sometimes I'll be out here forever and my husband comes looking for me, wondering where I am. Now, this part here, it's got a shadow on it from the foam. I'm just going to give it a spritz of water because I want to rework it a little bit. But I don't want to make the paint sticky and leave brush marks. When your paint's sticky, that's when it will leave brush marks. Or if you have too much on and you are pressing hard on the actual brush itself, it will also leave brush marks. I know I saw a piece the other day and it was really heavily brush marked, but she must have used a ton of paint. Okay, do the side here. So my doggie got her grooming done today and she looks so cute. There was, I don't know, 50 dogs or something in there from the rescue that they brought up from Mexico. And I'm in Canada, so that's a long way. But all these dogs were barking and my dog was just going crazy at the till. But out of all those dogs they brought up, I have to say they were so well behaved. It was really nice to see. They looked excited. Okay, so I think that's kind of giving you the idea of how to brush out drawers, right? What I want to do is show you over here, which is a drawer that I've done, sort of. It's not done yet. It has a little bit of white wax in here. It has black wax in here, and then I put a little bit of darker paint over top. So because it's so dark and I don't like it, and I knew I wouldn't like it, but I'll fix it up here. I'm going to take some white wax. This is Miss Mustard Seeds white wax, and it's I could use a glaze, a white glaze, or a wax in here, but I'm just going to see what this does. See if we can lighten it up a little bit. See if we can get some in these little grooves a little bit. Not really making too much of a difference. I guess it is a little bit. Compared to that side, it looks a little bit nicer. But I'll work that and work that and work that until I get it just right. And I think once I get to a point where I like it, I'll probably put some copper or gold. I don't know if I want to use gold on this though. I think it's too, I want this piece to be very masculine looking, and I don't think the gold will be all that masculine. I think copper would go good with this really sage green color. So you just smear it in and work it around. And this is a wax, so once the wax is on, it's pretty much on, unless you want to get in there with a little toothbrush and take it off with mineral spirits. But when you're doing really intricate bits like this, once the wax hardens in a few days, it's on for life pretty much. So I pity the next person who wants to take this apart, but you can always re-wax over top if you really didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so that's lightened it up a bit. We'll put some in here. Kind of like that. We'll leave a little bit of the dark showing. I like that better. Okay, that looks better. This drawer here has 2 coats of paint, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah. So this one here I can show you how to use the black wax with. And that is, where's the black wax? Oh, it's right here. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, and I use these, I also get these at Canadian Tire, I think I got these at Canadian Tire. It's a Bennett Professional Chalk oval number 35. It's about a 1.5 inch oval, but it's natural bristle, and that's what you want for the chalk. The bristles have to be tough enough to push the chalk into the details. So that's what we're going to use for chalk. So that's my white one. I have a chalk brush for every color because I don't want to mix them. So let's see what happens here. My puppy got a new harness today too. She tends to pull on her little harness a lot because she gets so excited to go for walks, and then she starts choking, and we thought maybe she was coming down with a bug of some kind, like kennel cough, but it turns out it was just her harness, or not her harness, her collar, because I didn't know this till today, but apparently the other day she was walking with Pops and she ran out, kind of just was crossing the road. She wasn't paying attention, and a car came by and my husband had to pull on her leash really quickly to get her away from the car, and I guess it hurt her throat a little bit. So we were worried that she might be coming down with something else, but fortunately she's fine now, so we're good. I'm going to put a little bit of white wax in here. Smear that around a little bit. I don't want it to go right down because I want a little bit of this shading to stay. So just blend it in there. And again, you want to use very little bits of this stuff because it can get really out of hand if you don't. So just be careful when you're using it. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the dark back in here to shade it. And it's just like doing a painting. You just want it to go, the shading and everything to go exactly where you think it should go, and not just kind of gob it on. That's got to be done just right. Put a little bit more in here just to get in these grooves. And that is how you apply wax. Now, if I wanted to, I could take a cloth and I could wipe this back a little bit, but I don't really see what huge difference it's going to make. It doesn't make any difference. And I want it to be like this anyway on this piece. Every piece is a tiny little bit different, right? So then down here, I believe this one, no, that doesn't have two coats. I can tell because I can see the first coat through. Maybe we'll use this one. I want to just put a tiny little bit of wax down in here, just the tiniest bit, to give it a little bit of a shadow. Just the black wax. There. And then we're going to leave the outside frame without any wax. And we'll do this one. Tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of black wax. And then where I don't want it, if I get some up here, which I just did, I can take my paper and wipe it off. And if it doesn't come off with my paper easily, then I can use clear wax to remove it. So that's kind of how I want it to look in the end. Just a little bit of shading down here and around this area here. So we'll do that to all of the drawers, and then it'll have that really neat shadowy effect. Once this is all painted, once the sides are painted, and this, I'll show you, this area here is painted, and just this is wood, I think it's going to look really striking. So that's all I want to show you today, just how easy it is to put paint on drawers, and a little bit about what the prep was initially. And I will probably be doing another live, I'm not really sure, probably tomorrow, maybe, or Sunday, because I really want to get this piece done, but I don't want you guys to miss any of the steps that we do. So that's all I'll show you for now. I am going to do one day a video just on brushes and on waxes and on paint, and just supplies that you need if you did want to do your own, you know, painting full-time or part-time. I do it kind of part-time right now in between stuff. But just some of the things you need to know. And also I'm going to do a couple of videos just on sanding and prep work for pieces, because every piece is a little bit different. Like this one, for instance, I'll show you quickly. Besides there being a piece in the back that I have to get my stapler going and staple down or tack down, this one has a broken runner. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see? Way down here. So if I show you this, this is broken, so it's coming up. So I have to take some glue and glue that down and put a clamp on it overnight, and then it'll be fine. It has a little chunk missing up the side, but as it goes to the back, it gets wider. So it'll be fine for running the door. And then also what I do is wax those runners, because over the years the woods get really dry. And if you wax the runners, it just helps the drawers slide in and out easily again as well. So, but that's it for today. I have got to get into town again. I have to fight the traffic. It's going to be crazy in town. It's Friday and oh boy. But anyway, I will try and get on tomorrow sometime or Sunday. So just stay tuned for when that all happens. I don't even really know when it will be. Subscribe on YouTube to our videos if you want to learn how to paint. If you have a small project to do, it's best to watch some of the videos so that you know what you're kind of doing and don't waste your time. And like us on Facebook, share with your friends, share our videos on YouTube, and we really appreciate you doing that to help us build up our viewership. And if you ever want to comment or leave a comment, I'd be happy to read them. I can't always see them when I'm doing this. In fact, with my glasses off right now, I'm half blind, so I can't even see the comments. But if you leave a comment, I will answer and get back to you on whatever the question is. So that's it for today, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow, and I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Bye.